What does Heimdall's smugness cost him? To see all things is to bear the weight of inevitability. Heimdall's smugness stands at cost him Bifrost's edge. Things is to bear the unshaken by weight of Ragnarok's fury in Eva, by the death of his beloved. Santa Monica's tales never ask, what remains when prophecy steals your grief? His eyes, vast as the cosmos, cannot unsee. Finds him not as a cannot victor, but a pawn in a script he wrote, the Watcher's curse. To witness the fall, yet never the rise. What is a god's pride when the end is already written? Santa Monica's Heimdall wears his certainty like armor, cold, unyielding, a sentinel who believes sight equals control. But Norse myth whispers a truth they buried, to see the end is to carry its weight, generation after generation. The Watcher's gaze does not grant power, it steals agency. Each prophecy etched in his mind becomes a chain, his loyalty to Odin. A prison of self-destruction, the saga does not reward foresight, it punishes it. What is a god's pride when every victory is a step toward the fall he cannot outrun? The curse is not silence. It is knowing, and knowing is a kind of death. He sees the fall before the first stone trembles. Every dawn across Bifrost, Heimdall traces the same script etched into eternity, a vision that bends not with time, but against it. Santa Monica's saga paints him smug, a loyalist to Odin's hollow throne, but the script they ignored is written in his silence. To guard a bridge is to accept its collapse. To know the end is to gnaw at the edges of every moment, each breath a delayed reckoning. The Aesir call him watchman, the Eddas whisper, prisoner. His all-seeing gaze is a cage, he counts every star as it dies. He names every god as they fall. When Ragnarok's shadow stretches, his final act is not defiance but a sigh. The bridge burns, the realms fracture. And Heimdall, who always saw, now sees nothing not because the end came too fast, but because he had already lived it 1,000 times. The price of foresight is not death, it is the weight of 1,000 deaths unresolved. The Bifrost trembles under his breath. Heimdall's hands grip the rainbow bridge's edge, knuckles pale as starlight. His ice-9 realms in each pupil burn, with the afterimage of futures extinguished. The Eddas call him Kalda the watchman who sees all, yet they do not speak of the taste in his mouth, iron, blood, and the salt of a lover's last gasp. Santa Monica's Ragnarok shows him smirking at Loki's taunts, but the smirk is a scar. A defense against the memory of a voice whispering I am coming as the world cracks. The Norns wove their threads tight. He knew the day the bridge would shatter. Knew the horseman's shadow would stretch across the Bifrost, knew the arrow's flight, knew the scream that would follow. The Eddas say he would sound Gjallarhorn to wake the dead, but they omit the sound that haunts him, a silence after the scream. A silence that swallows the name he cannot utter. His pride in the Santa Monica tales is not arrogance. It is the hollow roar of a man who has already mourned. Generational tragedy is the Aesir's inheritance. Odin lost an eye. Thor his hammer, Heimdall he lost the right to not know. The Eddas do not say he weeps, but they do not need to. His vigilance is a prison. Every dawn at the bridge he replays the vision, the beloved's face, blurred by fate's cruelty, dissolving into ash. He cannot look away, cannot unsee the end. The Santa Monica saga reframes the Eddic prophecy, but the core remains foresight is a blade that cuts both time and soul. What good is 1,000 lives if none change the final line? Heimdall's smugness is the mask of one who has outlived every possible version of love. The Bifrost's colors blur in his vision. He blows the Gjallarhorn not to warn of invaders, but to drown the echo of a name he cannot say. A truth he cannot escape. The price of seeing is not death. It is living forever in the shadow of the death you cannot prevent. The clash of steel and storm splits the sky. Heimdall's blade gleams, not with the light of Gjallarhorn's warning, but the hollow sheen of a man who has already seen his own blood spill. Kratos' rage is a hammer, Heimdall's smirk is the chisel. What is a god's pride when the future is a locked door? The Bifrost trembles beneath their feet, its golden light fraying like a thread he cannot grasp. You think foresight is a shield. It is a mirror. Heimdall knows every strike Kratos will land, every breath before the blade falls. Yet his hand does not waver. Why? because he has watched this moment 1,000 times. Not as a warrior, but as a spectator to his own helplessness. The air reeks of ozone and iron. Heimdall's armor bears no scarcely the weight of unspoken grief. Santa Monica's scripts call it duty. Call it what it is, a prison. To see the beloved's final gasp, the way her eyes cloud as frost claims her lips, yet stand at the gate and chant asterisk not yet asterisk asterisk not here asterisk, until the day arrives when even words fail. Arrogance voice in Heimdall does not silence. Axit is the mask of arises. Voice in Heimdall does not silence flinch. He has felt this blow in dreams, in every sleepless night where the Bifrost's echoes drown in his throat. The gods will mourn their watchman. They will never know his true vigil, the slow, unending burn of knowing and doing nothing. When the prologue ends and the Bifrost crumbles, the curse remains. Foresight is not a gift. It is the sentence of the eternal witness. And Heimdall, sweet fool, chose to stand at the gate because to look away would be to become the monster he could never stop. The air in Faye's visions always tasted of iron, blood. Her sons spilling in slow motion across a battlefield she could not name. She saw his face twisted, not in pain but in recognition, as if he understood the weight of her helplessness. This was the price of her gift, clarity without power, a god's sight, a mother's prison. Heimdall's Bifrost hums with the same ache. You think his vigilance is pride? No, it is a dirge. Every dawn he stands at the rainbow's edge, not to guard Asgard, but to delay the moment he must remember. Remember the night Odin first pressed his hand to the god of time's brow and whispered, asterisk you will see what comes. You will not stop it, asterisk the same night Faye's visions began, the stars above him burn cold. He counts them, always counting, as if numerology might fracture fate, but the numbers are fixed. The ninth realms collapse, Thor's hammer shattering, the Aesir's final breaths each etched into his mind like a scar. His laughter, that smug, silvered sound, is not defiance. It is the only thing left that does not break. When the other gods mock his arrogance, they do not see the tremor in his hands as he grips Jallarhorn. They do not hear the silence between the notes of his song, where his beloved's voice once lived. Faye's son died with her name on his lips. Heimdall's beloved will die with his silence on hers. The difference. She had a choice to look away. He did not. His curse is not foresight, it is memory. The memory of every moment he could have saved her, wrapped in the knowledge that he will fail anyway. What does it mean to watch the sky burn when you know the spark never comes? To hold a sword that cannot strike. Faye's saga ends with her biting her tongue to keep from screaming. Heimdall's ends with him standing, always standing, as the worlds he loved collapse into dust. And somewhere between their stories, the truth festers. The greatest tragedy is not seeing the end. It is seeing it and still believing the beginning was worth it. Heimdall's gaze pierces the veil of time, his smile cuts sharper. Santa Monica paints him a loyalist, but loyalty cannot mask the hollows behind his eyes. What does a god see when the Bifrost's light becomes a funeral pyre? A beloved's name erased from myth, etched into his vision since birth. He watches them breathe, he watches them burn. And still he stands at the bridge, smug as a king, because to waver is to let the void taste victory. The cycle repeats, a child is born, a death is foreseen. The tragedy is not one life lost, but the arithmetic of inevitability generation a pawn, each warning a chain. Odin's shadow suits him here, better to be a cold god than a broken man. The curse is not foresight, but the arithmetic of love. To love is to count the days until erasure. Whisper the truth, Heimdall's arrogance is a shield. Beneath it, a watcher who knows every battle's end, every hero's fall, and still raises the gate. Because if he lets doubt in, what remains of him? A god who saw the storm and could not would not in a way. The weight of knowing is not the end, it is the end and the beginning multiplied, and still the Bifrost burns. Heimdall's gaze never falters, his smirk is not pride but a shield, to see all is to bear all. The Edda's whisper of a price paid in silence, he watches the birth of stars and the decay of empires. He sees the frost creeping into his beloved's breath, the moment their light dims. Santa Monica's Ragnarok paints him as guardian, not prisoner. But the truth burns in Faye's cursed ice, the same gift that grants clarity carves hollows in the soul. Foresight is not a blade, it is a shroud. He knows the Bifrost will fall, knows his own hand will tremble as it does, yet he stands, always stands. The Smugness is a ritual, a mantra against the rot of inevitability. The Aesir praise his vigilance. They do not see the cracks in his armor, the way his fingers clutch the rainbow's edge as if it might break. Faye's tragedy is written in his. To know the end before the beginning is to live suspended between two fires. Heimdall's curse is not death, it is the weight of every death he cannot prevent. The Eddas omit this. The comics omit this, but the sagas remember. The Watcher's greatest battle is not against the Jotnar. It is the quiet war within where every victory is a funeral. The Bifrost burns, he sees it, he lets it. The Bifrost's light fractures like a scream frozen in time. Heimdall feels each shard pierce his ribs as it falls, not pain knowledge. He has stood here before, 1,000 iterations of this moment, each ending in ash. The scent of ozone and burnt ozone haunts him. Kratos swings his blade, a meteor of vengeance. Baldur's tears freeze midair, a silent requiem. This is not a battle, it is a playback. Heimdall's gaze does not waver. Beyond the chaos he sees the unbroken chain. Odin's spear buried in the earth, Freya's caged breath in the halls of sorrow, even the boy Loki's first lie etched into the stars. Generations fold into one another like nested shadows. His smugness is the only thing he cannot unsee. The gods mistake it for confidence. They do not hear the weight behind his words, the dirge of a man who has already mourned every victory they achieve. The duality of foresight carves him hollow. To witness is to carry. He knows the price of every choice before it is made. When he warns Thor of the world serpent, he also whispers the serpent's warning to him. When he laughs at Surt's approach, he laughs because he has already tasted the afterlife's dust. His pride is a mask for the agony of irrelevance, a god who cannot change the script. The cold seeps into his bones, not from the void he has felt colder places, the voids between lifetimes, between chances. Between the death of his beloved and the birth of her ghost, in every soul he watches die. The saga's truth is written in the cracks of the Bifrost. Even gods are prisoners of the clockwork. Kratos breaks cycles. Heimdall keeps them turning, the bridge collapses, he does not flinch, cannot escape. The next dawn will birth another war. Another child will stand where he stands now, seeing everything, hearing the music of the inevitable. Odin's hunger drove him to sacrifice. Heimdall's curse, the same hunger, quieter, unyielding. A flame seen too soon becomes a shadow in the bones. The next guardian will watch. Will they? Voice fades. What does foresight cost when the future is a mirror? The price of seeing forever is a smirk carved from ash. His gaze never left the Bifrost, never wavered. Yet each dawn he stood, the music of endings grew louder in his skull. Santa Monica gave him foresight, but who paid the toll for his knowing? A beloved's shadow lingers in every choice he made to protect. Kratos' blade didn't kill him. The weight of 1,000 unsurvived Ragnaroks did. Dare you ask if his vigilance was a prison, not a gift? The unspoken debt to watch loved ones burn again and again, in simulations he could not stop. Generational tragedy isn't a cycle.